Hi and welcome to another tutorial on the tarot of Aleister Crowley and Frieda Harris, the Thoth deck. And today we'll take a look at and introduce the Seven of Cups, which is, they give the title Debauch, which I had to look up. So if I use this particular book, again, the Tarot Handbook, and she describes the Seven of Cups as emotional indulgence. The card represents the state of emotional depression and moods. It often is a picture of our emotional addictions or indulgences. Whenever we are depressed, it reflects what it is we reach out for and make ourselves feel better, whether it's overeating, over shopping, over drinking, smoking, drug use, or sexual promiscuity. Wallowing in negative emotional reactions and responses. So it's not just about physical addictions, it's about emotional addictions as well. And it's the way we cope with depression, what we do. Some people drink, some people have multiple sexual partners, some people stay in and wallow in emotional black holes. It's all that giving to a negative source, and that is the slightly different Rider-Waite version of the card, which is a man looking at different choices that he has to make. So coming at it from a slightly different angle, slightly less acute than what Aleister Crowley does. Crowley's pretty full on all of his cards, as you would expect. Just briefly, some crystals here. We've got a wealth of crystals thanks to my wife, who's very much in tune with them. Things that would help in this situation are crystals like golden selenite here, which basically gives you a more pure link to the angelic realms and your source, so it's getting you more in touch with your universal self and the love and perfection that brings to, bring you out of the emotional sort of black hole that you're in. Another thing that you can use is things like emerald here, which is all about love, bringing you back to your heart chakra, which is, that area is often green. So that's bringing you back to loving yourself basically. And you've got something called stitchite, which is good for removing addictions, and it can be various different colours. So these sort of things you would keep on you, the emerald and stitchite, and obviously the golden selenite is far more fragile. So that's something that you might want to sleep next to or have in your room. Okay, what we'll do now is go on to looking at a deeper interaction with the symbology of the Seven of Cups, and then go on to how it relates to other cards. Hi, so welcome to the more in-depth side of the tutorial, and starting with the Rider-Waite card, because this clearly illustrates person looking at choices. You've got the 3 on the top and the 4 down below, so the 3 and the 4 represent numerologically, obviously they make up the 7, but as far as the energies of the card go, the material 4 dominates the spirit. So if we go to the Thoth card, you've basically got 2 descending triangles here and here going down into matter, and you've got a lot of stagnation in this card. As you can see, you've got a swamp there, which, as we all know, swamps are difficult to get out of. Lots of energy pooling and not great. Okay, if we look at the deckhand of the card, it's basically you've got 0 to 10 degrees, first decan of Scorpio, and we've got Venus there, and you can probably see at a pinch the Rider-Waite card. Okay, looking at the astrology, we've got Venus and Scorpio. As far as the Sephiroth is concerned, of Netzach, we've got that is ruled by Venus, so we've got a lot of Venus being channeled into the intensity of Scorpio, and it, but as I say, it's with this card being quite away from spiritual source, which is here, and it's also away from the balance of the middle pillow. You've not got a great deal of stability here, so the Venus is not channeled in a very productive way, and that is this type of energy that dominates things like addictions, emotional black holes that we can't get out of, habitual emotional reactions, as well as sexual excesses, drugs and that sort of thing, at the extreme end of it. Also, Venus is in detriment in Scorpio, so it can't really express its sensitivity and emotions properly. So again, with that planetary combination there, it's not a great pairing. So if we go to the symbolism itself of the card, we've got the drooping petals, which is basically these. So our personal life really becomes very stagnant in a way, because well, maybe not stagnant on the surface, but underneath it is. Our actions can actually be very out there, and from addictions and stuff like that, we can be very noticeable in society, but our energies are very much stagnated underneath that facade of what we're carrying out on the surface. You've got a darkened sky here, again, build up of emotional energy. We're not letting things flow. There's no sense of flow whatsoever in the card. And that, in terms of, that is pretty much it in terms of the symbology there. In terms of quotes from the Thoth book, basically says represents the sinking into the mire of false pleasure, and it also says there's something almost suicidal about this card, so not great from that point of view. Divinity meanings, the card relates to indulging in addictive emotions which do not represent our highest good. When we are depressed, it reflects what we need to reach out to in order to feel better. So examples include overeating, drinking, sexual promiscuity, drugs, that sort of thing. Divinity meanings also a tendency to overindulge in negative moods. Really represents a destructive way of coping with depression or issues that we can't handle. So in this card we have a loss of control over our circumstances in life, producing negative lifestyle changes, and we need to rein ourselves in and reclaim our personal power, I think, and face the things in a positive way. So on the surface of things, you can look at a person doing debauch acts, and there may be a lot going on under the surface that will explain why that's happened, and it's a process of picking apart how that person got there and moving them safely into an expression of themselves which is a lot more spiritual and balanced. Okay, we'll look at the card in relation to aspecting it with other cards from the deck. Okay, on to the last section, just aspecting the debauch card with a few other cards, just to show how they interact. With all these cards, although I do use, as you can see, I do use textbooks for things, they're very much just a springboard, really, for looking into the card. I have spent ages actually meditating on these, so I would encourage people to do that. You know, it's not like a surface intellectual thing, and it's not solely that. So, okay, with that in mind, the debauch card there will, if it's aspected to the Valor card, Valor is all about your energies are fighting something, and it's almost like your energies are now running very low, because it's like you're fighting a losing battle. It's been going on for ages. Hopefully something can come along and rescue you, or the situation that is causing you the pain will resolve itself finally. I try not to make this a completely negative card, because as we can see in just for the world wars, for instance, you know, there's a lot of people got, or you know, there were people got Medal of Valor and you know, survived to fight another day. So we've got Venus associated with the Sephiroth of Valor, and obviously we've got Venus in Scorpio here, so both of them together is indicating, you know, quite an emotional entanglement. So the two don't, you know, pair together to produce a situation which is quite emotionally loaded, and someone who's at war with themselves and running out of steam to fight that battle. So would really need some help and some guidance to get out of that situation. If we pair it with the Dominion card, Dominion card is all about asserting yourself and going for things without overthinking it in terms of consequences, and so this card is really using the Mars energy and the Aries qualities to fight your way out of this emotional or physical sort of black hole that you've got yourself in. It's all about strengthening the self-will and finding it deep within yourself to recognise the situation that you're in and change it. Okay, the again, going back to a card, Futility, which weakens your resolve in a sense of the debauch, but then it's showing you the things inside you which are maybe causing your actions to come out in such a negative way. So these different swords represent the different ways we put ourselves down and our different self-doubts that get in the way of the action of the major sword there. So I think, you know, with these readings, the thing I would do with a client would be not to dwell too much on the negativity, but just use these cards to make them aware of their situation, and obviously these will probably be part of a larger Celtic cross spread or something similar. So it's always good to not leave your client feeling helpless, but empower them. So I would use other cards to help them to understand where they are, so they can move away from that. Again, Truce card here is all about, well, maybe they will have to take action that is not perfect for them at the moment, but it gives them some sort of respite from their emotional pain or physical pain or addictions. So it's maybe telling them to find, as I say, a situation which is some sort of a compromise for now, just to get them to change their habits. And the Abundance card here, again, could be showing them that they're having too much of a good thing. But you'd also maybe look at it in the positive sense and say, well, there is a lot of abundance in their life that they're not looking at, that they need to turn their attentions to. So that's it in relation to other cards. Let's say this card you know, can be quite a downer if you want to focus on that in a reading. So I would tend to just use it to maybe gently let the client know that this has come up, but to empower them by the use of other cards, and you know, talking to the client in a understanding way, and seeing where you go from there, but always leave them feeling more empowered than they were when they first came to see you. So again, this is a debauch card. It's been relevant in certain times of my life, and at the time it was just, let's say, an emotional black hole that, you know, took various different forms, and I guess it's what we do with that experience, and it can be used to help make us grow and strengthen us, but we need to make sure that we actually come out of that situation and arise from it, and not get caught up in or stuck in the swamp here, which many people do, and they never get out of it. So okay, I'll leave it there, and I'll see you for another tutorial. Bye for now.